Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we look at the ever-intriguing early life of the Emperor of Mankind, this time as told by Erda. Spoilers for the Siege of Terra series, let's get straight into it. John Grammaticus speaks to Erda. They are both Perpetuals, people who, as well as likely having psychic powers, also, as the name suggests, are immortal in aging terms and can heal from most fatal injuries. Erda says she gave birth to the Primarchs, and she loved all her sons, even during the heresy. She saw things might go this way, and tried to stop the Emperor, but there is no reasoning with him. John says she knew what the Emperor was like centuries before, and says she helped him build the Primarchs, and then acted too late. John says he now works with the Eldari, not for them anymore. John says that humanity can survive if we are taught to fight against the warp influence in a way the Eldari could not. John says the Emperor is too arrogant, but someone must make him listen to save mankind. He says we can over time ascend, we still have that potential, unlike the Eldari. John says Erda is the most powerful of the Perpetuals, apart from the Emperor. She says none are like him. She goes on to say he is an aberration, even in terms of the Perpetual line, which is itself an aberration. You asked why we had never come together to stop him or contain him. There are many reasons, most of them trivial or personal, but the main one is that even together, en masse, the Perpetuals could not begin to match his power. Even for all they have influenced mankind, the Emperor is an engine for change, a font of power. John suggests a god. She says no. Erda says he's human and he has flaws. She says from his earliest life he tried to help people with his power, raise mankind to a better future. John asks if that is what Perpetuals do, and Erda says she favours the idea that they are the next step in the human species, an outlier like the Psyker. Some of these next steps happen and die out, but others use their abilities as an advantage to survive. She says the Perpetuals have been appearing for the last 45,000 years at least, and one day they will replace humanity, though not all believe the same. John says, what about the Emperor? She hates that term, feeling it shows his arrogance. She says he has had many names, but she knew him as Neoth. John laughs at the underwhelming name. They met in the time of the first cities, Erda says. He was a warlord, a king, even when the first cities arose. He has a deep understanding of the universe, the book says. He saw the dangers of the warp, the fragility of humanity, the recurring flaws of our species. She says she believed in him. She adored him. It was hard to see the danger of his ambitions. He has the means to accelerate our efforts and accomplish in just a few generations what might otherwise take millions of years. The Emperor tried to recruit every Perpetual on Earth in several wars. Some were working against him. The Emperor moved quick, and the Perpetuals could hardly keep up. She thinks he resented it. She says he's arrogant and looked to others for counsel, but would not be questioned. Over time, those Perpetuals allied with him slipped away as he took risks. Their objections tired him, and the Emperor became angry when others could not match his thoughts. The Sigillite, of course, stayed. Erda says the risks he took matched the speed he moved at, and that he believed he knew everything. He could not wait for natural evolution. He saw it as too slow, and when the Perpetuals left, the Emperor built his own, the Primarchs, artificial versions of the Perpetuals, with enough life to see his plan out, and they were indoctrinated since birth to follow his word, to service his dream. I find this opinion by Erda very interesting. Did the Primarchs the Emperor made fulfill similar roles in terms of their powers and what they could do for him to the Perpetuals he had once been allied with? And regarding the speed of the Emperor, how he moves so quickly, my take on that is that he is a multi-area genius who grows frustrated that no one can understand him. He feels he lacks an equal, perhaps. Erda stayed and says she was compelled. He needed her genetic knowledge and her gene stock. No good ever came of coercing nature, John. Through his sons, He would force the human race into the future, force it into submission and defy the warp to do it. When the Emperor weaponized the Primarchs and planned the Great Crusade, she left heartbroken. But she did try to save her sons by scattering them. The Emperor was angry and she hid, and he never came for her, and the Emperor found the Primarchs in time. My fundamental objection to Neoth's great work, she said firmly, is his haste and urgency. To supplant the natural flow of life with an artificial version that tramples ethics and morality and wise prudence, artificial perpetuals, John. She says humanity can still be saved and says it's still about force versus nature. John says stopping the war completely might intervene with the Emperor. Erda says he is an inflexible authority. And she goes on to say he has styled himself on many of them for effect. Mithras, the soldier god. Tyr Hamhand, who I believe is from Norse mythology. The wolf of the Romani, Roman. Aron, Enil of storms. Mahez, the lion-headed. Seth and Saturn. Most of all, the father god, the maker. In the achromatic texts of alchemy, Saturn is glyphed as lead, the prima matera. It is heavy in its seals and limits and protects. It is cold authority. Saturn is a black stone prison, caging all truth inside its chain of rings. So you can really see some of the influence there in how the Emperor presents himself. And one more thought before we tune out for the day. Perhaps the Emperor, using those accepted existing myths, allowed him to control the people around him and influence them. Food for thought. Now, friends, I turn this over to you. What do you think to this Erda opinion on the Emperor? Like John, did you laugh at one of his names upon hearing it? Have you been reborn over centuries as a perpetual? Comment down below.